Hello, hello, everybody. It is Thursday, and this is Talk to Us. And this is the emotional and mental health channel or show, should I say. We want to welcome you all to our show here. I will introduce my co-host and let her introduce herself and tell a little bit about herself. But I first and foremost wanted to let you know, Talk to Us Thursday. We wanted to come on here and start talking about mental health. You see mental health playing a lot in the media, and what a perfect place to bring it here to the forefront, and we can talk about it, but also create a safe space and a safe place to talk about it. And so if you have any questions as what we're talking about today, which I know you've seen the topic, listening and communicating. I know it's hard, right? I mean, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress, but I am working on listening. But when you say listening, it's not listening, it's listening. And so we'll get in deep more on what that means, but we want to welcome you all to Talk to Us Thursday. I am your host, and then my other host is on the other end, and you'll get to see her. But my name is Pamela Stone, and yes, I am a businesswoman coach. I help women to go after their what's next outside of the boardroom. So come on in. I want to ask you all. We have an activity. Look, I wasn't even allowed to be told the activity. Now this is going to be. So I'm with you guys. So no, I'm in the same boat as you guys. But I need everybody to grab your pen and a blank piece of paper that will be part of the activity in a few moments. So, Elisa, tell everybody about yourself.
Sure. How y'all doing? Pam, as always, it's great to be here with you. My name is
Absolutely.
Elisa. Look, you called me Elisa, Alicia, and my nickname is Lisa. And I am a mental health and emotional wellness coach and flex your voice content marketing promo writing technician. But also with my mental health coaching, I have a program that gives you the solutions that you can put in place. That's business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders to put in place when those lived experiences keep you from moving forward and keep you from elevating. So that's what we're going to do today. I have an activity for you all, like Miss Pam said, that I want to do. It's fun, but it is also very, very um, instrumental in the listening and communication area. In toxic relationships, especially in sensitive and toxic relationships, it's very important. And you can under sensitive, I'm including in that boardroom when you're sitting around that table and the employer is talking or your coworkers are talking. And sometimes we can get triggered by something that someone says based on previous interactions with them. I put it that way, right? So if you don't listen carefully and respond to how carefully to what you think they are saying or what they may be saying, for sure. But if you don't respond and communicate back what you feel in a healthy way, things can go awry. So that's what today's show is all about.
So before we get into the activity, everybody that's out there, I see we have some followers. Grab your pen and paper and listen, everybody. There is no right or wrong answer. So be to understand that because I know. Look, I'm a little competitive too, but that's probably why she didn't tell me it. But um, I am a little
Thank you.
competitive. I am a little competitive. I understand that. But in all due seriousness, there is no right or wrong answer. And I'm glad she didn't tell me because I want you to all to know I'm doing this activity just like you are. I'm coming in not knowing any questions that she asked or what the activity is entailed. So grab your friends, your family, your girlfriend, your girlfriends, and let's just have some fun with this activity. And then we can talk in more depth about the activity and how it plays a part in our day to day lives.
Absolutely. So if you have your pen and paper ready, I am going to give you some instructions, right? And what I want you to do is just simply follow those instructions. I cannot repeat them, and I'm going to try to say them as clearly as I can, okay? But, and do not communicate with each other. We're on Zoom, so it's kind of hard to do on a StreamYard. So, but just make sure, just listen in to what I'm saying, and then I'm going to show you what the results should be. So let me tell you the name of it. It's called the bug activity. Okay? The bug activity. All right. Everybody ready for instructions? I can't see if you're raising your hand or whatever, so I'm gonna go ahead with this. All right. So the first, I'm gonna describe the bug for you. You are listening to create this bug. All right. You ready? Everybody ready?
I'm
All right.
ready.
The bug is round. The bug has 8 legs grouped in pairs with 4 legs on the left and 4 legs on the right. In the pairs, one leg is longer than the other. All right. The bug has 2 eyes on top of the body. The bug has 2 squiggly antennas. The bug has 2 pea pod shaped wings. The bug has a spot next to each wing. The bug has a triangular stinger on the bottom of its body. The bug has 2 feelers on each foot, one longer than the other, both coming from the same side of the leg. The bug has a round mouth placed between the 2 eyes. And finally, the bug laid 5 square eggs to the left of the stinger. All right, that's it. How did y'all do? How did that make you feel, Miss Pam?
I think it was a trick.
All right, would you like to show your bug?
I sure don't.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
show your bug. Is anybody out there? Everybody have their bug drawn? Because I'm about to show you the picture of the drawing. That's not bad. That's not bad, actually. That's not bad. All right. So I'm about to show you. I'm hoping you all can see this, but here is the bug. All right, make sure I have it. Let's see. There we
Right.
go. Do I? Oh, here we go.
Oh,
That is your bug.
that don't look
There's
too
your
bad.
antenna. So you didn't do bad, Miss Pam.
I
All
th-
right. So I hope you all did well on that. And whoever's on replay, they can still play the game, so you won't be able to see the bug until after it's complete. Don't cheat though if you're on replay, and wait till you see how the bug looks. But that is a listening communication game, and it's all about activity, and it's all about how well you are able to really. It is about perception, right? It's about how you listen and how you perceive things. But the communication part comes in because it's how you respond to what you thought you heard, right? And that's where a lot of conflict comes in when it comes to toxic and sensitive relationships, right? So when you're interacting with people, it's all about giving that speaker an opportunity to speak, not the interruptions and not the assumption. No interruptions and no assumptions, right? Because usually when you come into a conflict, you're in a conflict. So you're going to have your perception of what's going to be said anyway. But here's the thing, if everybody responds without listening and you're already thinking what that person is going to say, how do you think your response is going to be? And what does that do? That just escalates the situation and makes it worse. But I'm gonna give you some techniques real quick to listening, to active listening. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about active listening because it's very structured and it is the most effective way to respond to people. Now, you say, Coach Alicia, in the moment, you don't be thinking about this stuff. But I'm telling you, the more you practice it, the more you'll get better at it. Because I'm telling you, in a now, let me say this: if it's a toxic relationship that this occurs, these conflictual conversations, interactions occur all the time, maybe it's something you need to eliminate. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't come to any agreement, and this is the nature, the culture of your relationships, then maybe that relationship shouldn't be, right? And if anybody knows me, if anybody follows me, my thing of it is, if it doesn't elevate you, eliminate it. So I'm all about that. But if it's a relationship that you know that it's elevating you, you're just having a moment and you all are just not on the same page, or if you're in the boardroom and you know your job and you know you did a good job and you know someone is against you, or if you know that type thing in the boardroom, stand your ground, but show professionalism by practicing
Mm-hmm.
active listening. And your response will shock them because you're coming out in a professional way, and it shows that you really listen to what their standpoint is, but you're going to make sure they listen to what your standpoint is, right? So let me just give you some cues, some techniques for active listening. Okay, number one is focus on the speaker, because one of the things is when you're looking around and you're not, eye contact is so important because it appears, sometimes it can appear disrespectful. Sometimes it can appear like you don't give a heck about what this person is saying because you are ready to say what you want to say. So just think about those things. Now, I'm guilty of myself because I feel sometimes like, oh, that's a good point. Let me get mine out before I forget it, because I'll forget a point in a minute. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, I mean, I had a good point and I'll forget in a minute. So I have to really, but I practice over the years in my field, and it's called motivational interviewing as well, right? Where I can motivate someone to really really communicate what motivates them and what, say something positive that would elevate them. So I have practiced that, being able to structure listening and structured communication, right? To make sure I really understand, because I don't want to assume anything when I'm coaching, and I don't want to assume anything, or even when I'm interviewing for the marketing program, when I'm writing their brand story, I'm not going to assume anything. I have to listen to you so I can write that story for you, right? So, all right, so focus on the speaker. The second one is watch for nonverbal cues. And nonverbal cues, if anybody knows is out there that knows what that is, drop it in the feed for me. But nonverbal cues is all about body language. That's all what that means. A person can say, yeah, I understand. A person can say, yes, I agree. But their body language can say something totally different. And if you're in a relationship with someone and you know that person, but you're in conflict, what is, Coach Pam, what would be one of the, if you're in a conflict in conversation, what is something that would probably upset you when you're trying to spill your heart out to someone and they say back to you and respond to you? What would be something you'd say would upset you?
Very that they would I've had many people say, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right there, that is one. Oh, right there. Or the whatever word,
Yes.
it is demeaning,
Yes.
right? So they, if even if they don't verbalize that, their body language sometimes can show that, and that's a non-verbal cue. Or the breathing, or that. So look for those things too. And sometimes what people are trying to say to you is that they're hurting. The bottom line, that's what that is. Most of the time the people are hurting, and they don't know how to verbalize it. So these nonverbal cues are very important. Listen to how something is said, right? Inflection, intonation, which means the tone of which they say it, and the strength of a speaker's voice may communicate more than words alone. Yelling, um, in children, a lot of times, and sometimes adults, you'll see this right here, right? Sometimes that's because you got to think about it. That sometimes it can become annoying. So look for those type of things as well. Um, the tone is very, very important. You and I can say the same things in two different ways, right? And it'll be perceived differently each time. Eliminate distractions. So it's nothing worse than these days, what's trending these days, the cell phone, right? It's nothing worse than when you trying to have a conversation with somebody and they're looking at their phone. They're more engaged in their phone. They're distracted by the phone, those type of things, an active listening. Put those things aside. Hear what the person is talking about and trying to say to you. Um, Give encouraging nonverbal cues. If it's just a touch on the shoulder, if it's just a shaking, nodding your head, anything, or leaning. A good one is leaning towards the speaker. So let them know that you're interested in what they're saying to you. Encourage the speaker by using words such as yes, I see, and go on. Encourage them to keep talking. And with that being said, don't interrupt. Let them pause before you engage and say anything. Because sometimes if they have a difficult time continuing, or they feeling vulnerable that they can't talk anymore, right? Ask questions to clarify, and reflect. Now, there is nothing worse than someone is trying to tell you something. So what you're saying is, You know what I'm saying? That's a tone as well. And you come out with something which is not what they're trying to say at all. So reflective listening, re- try to get them to clarify, or you try to clarify what they're saying in a respectful and caring tone. So they'll know that you're being caring, even though if you couldn't understand it, don't come back in a negative manner. Let them understand that you're trying to figure out what's the disconnect, what's the miscommunication is about. And this is check your understanding by repeating or paraphrasing, respond when appropriate, control emotional responses. And that's the thing what I say all the time. It's how you respond, how you react, and then you reset. Your response in the moment can shift a situation for the good or for the bad. So please watch your responses, because that emotional responses can be it can ruin a situation. It can turn a situation even more toxic, or it can turn a situation where you can see that the person can see that you actually care about them, right? Listen to the entire point without interrupting. Give the speaker time to think as well as talk. So, and this one is a hard one because some people process different when they're speaking, and they'll do that. And they'll sit there for a minute, but they're not done with their thought, right? So give them time to finish their thought. And some of them have to gather themselves because what they're saying is so emotional. So just remember, just keep all that in mind. And the last one is summarize what they said, to make sure everybody is on the same page. Make sure that you listen. And then when that first ask, can you speak? After you summarize and you've reflected and everything that they're said, ask them, can I speak now? Can I tell you how I feel about the situation now? So I would say those are the techniques you can use for active thinking and reflecting on a conversation. So I'm going to give you, after I know we get ready to take a break, then I'm going to give you some skills to ignite this experience for you, and it will help you in a mental health and an emotional wellness situation, in a conflictual situation, and then that will sum it up for you. So I hope
Perfect.
those tips help.
Thank you, Elisa. That was good. Look, I wrote down my thing. I wrote down mine. So I hope
Good.
we do get to go back. That was good. Okay, the the activity, that was funny, but that was cute. I really like that. So I hope you all, those of you who are looking at the replay, just please let us know by doing hashtag replay. It's just for our purpose. It's nothing else. Just to see how many people are looking at the broadcast after versus live. That's the only reason why we're doing this. And then I
Mhm.
hope those of you had kept your paper and wrote down, I don't know, I think I'm up to 16, 17 tips that you had given us. And so they were
Mhm.
really good. I have to say, as we're taking this break and while you're resting for a moment, as a coach, it is sometimes hard to jump in before you allow the individual or a person to finish.
Mhm.
Um, I'm learning to sit and just, sit and let them speak, because that's their right. And they
Mhm.
have the idea in their mind. They don't need me to speak for them. They need me to help them, coach them after that. But they need
Mhm.
to first be allowed to speak. And so I have been really working on very to be very cognizant and aware of not speaking. I just sit and listen. And if I have any questions, of course, as I do in my paper, I'll come back and circle what I may have a question about, that point that they may have a question about. Because I remember you said you forget, and so you'll jump in. So what I do is now I write. Well,
Yeah. Yep.
funny enough, look, this is the question, and then this is what you had asked me, and then this is my question that I need to ask you back. So that's
Man,
how
that's
I do it.
genius. That's
That's
genius.
that's what I do. So I have, and if you don't believe, I look, these are, I have told you I got ADD. This is all my different colors of pens when it comes to the different times to talk.
Oh, that's genius. I love that. I gotta
So
use that one myself.
so that's what I do. I literally will sit down and I will write down everything you say, and then the blue is okay. Well, let me ask her about this, and this. So when we come back, everybody, I won't ask her all the questions, but I hope you have questions for her. If you still have questions for Elisa after the broadcast, still drop them in the feed because I definitely will make sure she gets them. We share the feed together, but I definitely will make sure she sees them just to make her well aware of this. And I hope you guys are taking this seriously, because now that we're coming out of the COVID, the communication skills needs to be stepped up now because we're coming face to face versus when we were away, or when we were on the, we could shut it off. There is no shut off valve now. There really isn't. you you was just on the you was just on the platform, you'd seen that as you're laughing. But but to be very serious, and
Mm-hmm.
in all seriousness, we need to use these techniques, or these cues were right on point, of what's going on in the world, and everybody to be in, paying attention around them, and just sit and listen, and not listen but listen. um,
Mm-hmm.
is so important, so important.
It
So
it
yeah.
is. Yeah, that I was tickled because you are so right regarding that. It's like, ooh, my mic dropped, but it's like, especially the nonverbal cues. I think that in itself. Now, I am very guilty of that as well. I have to really be cognizant of my facial expressions, um, my type
Yeah.
things like that, because it took a while. It was a time in my life where I internalized things, and the more you internalize things, the more, and you lay down on that thing at night, that makes it worse. So when you come back later with your response or your rebuttal, it comes out more conflictual, it comes out more angry, and things like that. So I would encourage you, when you're in that toxic relationship, or when you're in that conversation with your employer, or a family member, whoever it may be, just practice. You have the right to feel the way you feel. Emotions are real, and you are human, so you cannot help the way you feel about a situation. But the key I want you to get out here is, whatever you're feeling, make sure you get clarification to support that emotion. You could be angry about something when that's not the way it actually was. So that's what I want you to understand. Just your nonverbal, and to make sure you're clear on what that person was trying to say in that moment. Because responding, like I said, responding and reacting to what you thought you heard, the way you perceive things, that can it can be, the outcomes can be very negative. And that's why I wanted to talk about this as far as mental health, because it's aspirated,
Mm.
in those situations, at times, especially when you on your lows. or you didn't have a good day. Anxiety is up here. We talked about anxiety a couple weeks ago. Um, so during those times, if your listening and communication skills are not on point, things could escalate. Um, when it could have been avoided if you just listened and you communicated well.
I agree with you. Back in the day, I used to let anything, if someone said something and I did not active listen, man, I'd be like, I would pop it off. And then later be like thinking about, wow, what I said, is that right? Did I
Right.
really say that? So I know that now I have matured because I have not even thought about that at all, but I'm very cognizant of me listening and when I respond, when it's time to respond. And I say this because I know there are some of us out there that are just now learning how to do this. It takes
Hmm.
time. Do
It
not
does.
beat yourself up. I promise you, it takes a lot of time. I even had a friend, well, not a friend, a associate who always said whatever,
Mm.
and and man, that used to kick. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you mean by whatever? And then they would walk away.
Hmm.
So I now, if it's every now and then when I'll communicate with them, when that's whatever, I'm like, and then so now I flip it back and say, well, whatever. And now they're like,
Yeah.
well, what do you mean? And I just,
Exactly. And the thing about it is, and that's what I was going to go into as far as the mental health and emotional wellness part of it, and the emotional trauma about it, because you mentioned the word triggers, right?
mm-hmm,
So some of the things that people can say back to you, respond to you with, or how they react can trigger something. And that's what I said, is those negative outcomes just because of one word, whatever, as a trigger, because you feel demeaned. You feel like what you're saying is not worthy, is not valuable. And to say that might not affect me like it affects you. You know what I'm saying? So these are the type of things that I'm trying to help. I want to help people with, because it is very, because people can say things like, I'm still in the corporate world, right? In that boardroom, right?
mm-hmm,
In that boardroom, you are valuable. You know the work that you have done,
mm-hmm,
right? And but I'm gonna tell you, and I hope this is not a sidebar, but I'm gonna tell you a trigger of mine, right? When someone says to me, a supervisor or whatever, and they say, "Have we done these reports? Have we?" And that is such a trigger for me. I'm telling you, every time. And I have to internal monologue. I have to really talk to myself and say, self, and I'm not kidding you. I say
mm-hmm,
this, self, you are valuable. You know the good work you've done. Do not let you respond in a negative way to that. Because the first thing that want to come out of my mouth is, no, we haven't done anything, but I did the report. But I'm trying to find a way. So I'm still work in progress too. I, I'm trying to find a way how to respond to that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so we got to know our triggers.
mm-hmm.
I care when I'm coaching somebody. We did the homework that I gave you? Have we done the such? Do you know how degrading that would be as a coach? You know what I mean? No, we didn't do it. It's a task that I feel you are valuable enough to take care of yourself. So I don't know if that's just me who feels like that. You know what I'm saying? When someone says that to you, I don't maybe it's just me. For some reason, it's a trigger for me. But my point is, we all have different things in communication that trigger us. So and everybody continues to work on it, right? So nobody is exempt from the listening communication struggle. It's a real struggle. So just internal monologue. That's a big thing in my coaching program. Just talk to yourself and keep telling yourself that you're valuable. Even in a conversation, when you're having a conversation with someone and it goes that way where you're starting to feel triggered, start talking.
Mhm.
Start talking to yourself, and hopefully you're skilled enough or keen enough to continue to listen to that person so you can respond effectively afterwards. But my point is, don't let try to hold on to all the internal strengths you have to not get triggered to the point where it takes you to a level you don't want to be, but you are able to elevate above that negativity. And that's my point there. But I want to point some things out to you real quick. Um, to know that someone would just listen to you and understand you and empathize, not sympathize, but empathize with you can be very calming and reassuring and even healing for someone who's going through mental health or emotional trauma. Just to have someone to listen, even if it's not a coach, even if it's not a therapist, I want people to know that there is somebody out there that will listen to you and not judge you, not interrupt you. Someone who can be an active listener for you, because I feel that is can be one of the most revolutionary thing for someone who's struggling with lived experiences. Just to have somebody to listen in that moment. Number two, instead of trying to solve the situation, it helps to focus. And that's for someone who's in that situation with that person and they need some support. You know, help keep the situation focused. Um, without trying to solve it for them. You don't have to solve everything. Just listen to them. Words matter. This one is huge. Words matter. There's a time to talk, there's a time to listen, and the lack of emotional support can cause mental health concerns to aggravate, which makes it harder for them to speak and tell people their feelings because they were shut down. People were shut down in a minute. And that's anybody. That's anybody who just needs support. Anybody can shut down if they feel judged or if they feel what they're saying is not taken seriously. You know what I mean? You don't have to solve their problem. Just be a listening ear. And for coaches like us, we take it a little further and help by giving solutions to help. But at the same time, a listening ear is nothing is above that. Nothing is above that. Um, and it once they feel like they're being judged or they're not being listened to, then that loneliness and that increased anxiety and depression, all that takes place. But if you could just listen to them, it would in that moment, just to have someone to listen to, that the anxiety will calm down, you know, in that moment. And then you can help them make decisions, make good, healthy decisions. And the last one is respond appropriately. Defer any kind of judgment, right? And then you react. Once you've responded to what's going on with you and responding, and let me explain, and then I'll finish. That in my situation as an elevation coach, an empathetic listening ear is how I can help because of this. Respond mean in that moment, what you gonna do? In that moment, are you gonna respond by taking a walk away from the situation for a moment to get some air? In that moment, what are you gonna do to help you calm yourself down, right? And then react. So once you have done a healthy response, how are you going to react to the situation? What is your next move to make sure you are okay? If it's not a situation that you can listen to anything, if you feel like you can't listen in that moment, then don't do it. If you
Mhm.
have to walk away, then walk away in that moment. So you can respond by walking away. You can react to that walking away. Either you can go back, you can react to it and go back and talk in a calm way, but decide how you're going to respond and react. And then the last one is reset. Let's get it together and let's figure out how we're going to fix this thing and get a solution so you won't be put back in that same situation again without everything you need to de escalate the situation in that moment. And that's all I have.
Those were good. So, look, I have my blue in some one of the areas that I would love to expound on, and that is lending that listening ear. We all want to give that listening ear, but before you give a true listening ear, do a mental health check on yourself,
Yes.
because because when you're giving your listening ear to someone, they're already going to be pouring into you emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which then can then bring down your mental health. So understand, before you lend the listening ear, make sure your mental health level is well enough that you can absorb what they're saying. And understand, if you can't, that's a bigger person that cannot.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, that shows me that you are way above me. Because let me say this, I was the people pleaser. I used to be a
Mm-hmm.
former people pleaser. So even if that person needed my listening ear and I was not in a good state of mind, I still did it because I wanted to please them. But then at the end of the conversation, I was so drained. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I can't. So now that I have learned, and I'm still recovering from being that people pleaser, but now that I learn, if someone reaches out to me and says, Pam, I need to talk, I have to check my mental health first.
Mm-hmm.
Because two of us being not having a healthy mental health is not good. So
Mm-hmm.
please understand, take evaluation of your mental health before you lend your ear to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right,
That's a
coach?
good, great point. Yes, great point.
And then the other one is focus on the situation and don't solve it. Again,
Mm-hmm.
as that former people pleaser, I was trying to solve
Yep.
everybody's
Yeah.
issue. And you cannot
Mm-mm.
take on what is going on with that person. All you can do is listen, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all I do now. I just sit and listen. If I'm in the right state of mind, if my mind is healthy enough to take it, and if it's not, I do not address it, because
Mm-hmm.
again, I feel that if my mind is not healthy, and then you're not in the right state of mind, how's that going to help us? We're both going to
That's
be in the
right.
same. We're going to be. I'm going
Exactly.
to have to call Coach Elisa, be like, girl, we need to. It's a 2 for 1 today, and I'm not. It ain't no joke.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that, and I just want everyone to be aware. Be very fully aware of when you lend that listening ear. What is your mental health levels? I mean,
And
is it,
you. Oh, go ahead.
and make sure, I mean, and if it's like on the then don't do it. And I'm because I used to be like, oh, I'll take it. And then at night, I'd be just like, oh my goodness, I'm so drained. I can't even, I would just shut the lights off, turn the TV down low, and then like, okay, God, here's what we're going to deal with. So just know that, just note that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and be aware of that.
And those are two great points because one of the things as a mental health coach, we often want to make sure that the people we work with, I like to say partner with, um, we always want to make sure they have supports and resources at home, because coaches are not always available, right?
Right.
So always want to make sure they have supports at home. But with those supports, I want to make sure that those supports want to be a support or capable of being a support, right? But
Yes.
that's why we also have solutions. Suppose there is nobody around. What can I do? Who can I call? So that's when you have those call resource numbers and everything that they'll get from me, all
Hmm.
that type stuff. But you're right about that. And two, um, it's always good to make sure that you are okay if you do take over that role,
Yep.
because me as a coach, of course I got to have some self-care myself. I got to have some resources for myself to go to, correct? So um even in my elevation, and I elevate each time I partner with someone to support them through those lived experiences in those hard times, right? That's, I elevate during those times. But I'm human too. So I need to make sure that I have a resource and support over here for me. So those are two valid points that you made. Of absolutely.
Absolutely. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and again drop them the feed. Elisa just dropped us a huge. I don't know if you got. I got a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
notes. A whole bunch. Look, I won't show my little person, but I got a
The
whole
bug. Look at the bug.
bug.
You can even name the bug if you want to.
Right. But just know that you know it's there's no shame in this is why we created this podcast so we can come on and that we all can address the mental health and talk about your triggers. And then we talk about the triggers, then we come up with some let's talk about how we every time on
Yeah.
being that people pleaser. It still sits on my shoulder every day, every minute. So I say that to say these were amazing tips. These are amazing cues. I hope you guys all take these and put them somewhere. If not, you do have the where you can come back and listen to the replay. If it or better yet, you can work closely with Miss Elisa. If you just send her you can send her a message. She's on Facebook. Well, go ahead and tell them, Lisa, because I'll tell them for you. But tell them where they can
Yeah,
connect with
that's
you.
fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. So, and very new to Clubhouse, so I'm there as well. But there's no messaging system there. But also there. So um, so yeah, reach out to me, and let's talk. Let's and Coach Pam mentioned getting the mental health evaluations and assessments and things like that. So I also do those, confident tests, all types of things that may affect different areas in different environments, right? So in the boardroom, at home, in your business as an entrepreneur. So I have all those solutions to help you there, to just to know, see where you are. And my thing of it is not only to respond, react, and to reset, but I also want you to know anything, if there's anything in your life that does not elevate you, people, places, or things. That's people, places, or things that do not elevate you. You need to eliminate them because they will destroy you. You
Absolutely.
know, you know your triggers. You know when you go somewhere because you're feeling a little sad, or you talk to a certain person, or you go to this certain thing because you're feeling down, or the day just didn't go right for you, but you're not elevated after you partake in those things, then you need to eliminate that, and you need to find some better some more positive and more healthier, more holistic, more uh life elevating things for yourself. I'm Alicia, and I am complete, as they say.
Wonderful. Well, everybody, our time has came and gone. This was so impactful. So, man, this really has really impacted me. And again, now I'm gonna have to really sit back and really, really think more so than I did before. But it has made me more aware, and I hope this has helped you to be more aware
Mhm.
of your mental health and your emotional state, because it's all important. You know, it's all about, we want you to be healthy as you can be. And again, what place and what way to do it is to talk about it here at Talk to Us. So we would love to hear more from you. We love to have you guys more interactive. Once we start moving this more on a consistent basis, you'll see us more. We're trying to work out the kinks. So please bear with us. If there is
Mhm.
a topic that you would like for us to talk about,
Absolutely.
we would love to talk about it. We may even ask you to come on and talk about it with us. We
Mhm.
love that as well. So, Elisa, as we get ready to close out, what would you like our listeners and followers, what would you like to leave them with?
I think I would like to just listen to people, but more importantly, listen to yourself, because you know your body tells you a lot, for one thing, right? Because these toxic things can affect you, you know, mentally, emotionally, and physically. A lot of times when you're not feeling right mentally, or when you're not feeling right emotionally, there's some physical problem coming behind it if you don't take care of it. So all I would say is, you would go to the doctor if you break your arm, but would you go to the doctor if you break your heart, you break your mind? You know, so go. You know, now, and we didn't do the disclaimer today. I don't do therapy. I don't prescribe medicines, or I don't diagnose anybody. I'm simply here, and I'm the middleman, if you will. You know what I'm saying? I provide, after you do all that, I provide the solutions to keep you going, to keep you going. So I just want you to be okay physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you know, to keep yourself elevated. You know, you are an entrepreneur, you are a business owner, you are a thought leader. You know, why lose all of that because you're not taking care of yourself? And that's all. I wish for you. Please reach out to us. You know, I always say a coach needs a coach. I have a coach. Miss Pamela is my coach. Go
I,
Coach Pam. You know what I'm saying? And she has really been a strong back for me. Sometimes I use her as my mental health coach, right? And that's, she probably talking to me when she talking about she was drained, right? No, I'm kidding, but no, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, so a coach the stigma, the vulnerability, all that is thrown out the door. This is a confidential space. Elevation Mental Health Coaching is confidential. We do our thing. Like I said, I partner with you. You're not my client. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you the solutions, and then you go over to Coach Pam. She giving you those success things to keep it moving along. So I just want to say, take care of yourself. Then I'll shut up. Take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically. and just think about those resources and support you can get.
Thank you, Elisa. And I will close it off with this. I want you all to know that you are so important and you live your life for you and no one else. So you need to be strong for yourself. And that, as we talked about, take care of you first before you take care of everybody else. And if that means and if that individual or situation is not elevating you, then it's time to eliminate that. Again, take care of yourself. And you know what? You guys rock and you're amazing. Until next time, everyone, we appreciate you. Take care. Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye.